All right, this is my little ramble on why Eloise is a terrible friend. She is somebody who is against the patriarchy. That's her image, that's her personality. She doesn't like the way society functions. She doesn't want to be a part of it, and she wants to do things at her own accord. And I respect that. But the thing is, I feel like Eloise is all bark, no bite. As somebody who is so against the patriarchy and that believes women should have a lot more rights than they do, that women should be able to do what they want and be worth more than just getting married and being a wife and a mother, you would think that she would really value the relationships that she has with other women. You would think that she would really value her friendships with other women. But then I observed the way she treats Penelope, or treated Penelope, and then the way she treated Cressida, and I'm like, Miss Girl, you are so misguided in your attempts to break and change the world. How about you change some parts of yourself and treat the people around you a little bit better? And then maybe we could talk about the rest of the world. Here's why I think she was a bad friend to Penelope. When she finds out that Penelope is Lady Whistledown, I understand that she's heartbroken. Penelope has hurt her and hurt her family. That's a lot to digest. And I don't even blame her for behaving so rash and ending their friendship super swiftly. But you would think that after she let this new information settle in and has comprehended what's gone on, that she would want to hear more from Penelope, that she would want to hear Penelope's perspective. You have been friends with someone since your childhood years. You don't think it is worth at least getting to understand why your friend writes Lady Whistledown, why your friend created Lady Whistledown? I'm not saying it's a good reason to excuse Penelope's behavior. And I'm not saying that she should up and just take her back as a friend, but you have to at least let the woman explain herself a little bit. Lady Featherington, when she found out that Penelope is Lady Whistledown, at least takes a second to accept that she has done something big for herself. It might not be something to be so proud of in the moment, but she has done something very remarkable, something very admirable. And also Colin, even though they're already engaged and he kind of is now in this position where he has to listen to Penelope, he does take the chance to let her explain herself, let her say what Whistledown means to her. But Eloise never gives Penelope that grace. It never comes. She never really gives Penelope the space to be vulnerable and be honest. And isn't that what friendship is all about? I just personally think that Penelope literally started Lady Whistledown because she felt like no one would listen to her, no one would pay attention to her. So maybe if you listened to your friend for a minute, you would have understood that this was not this ill-intended evil thing that Penelope came up with just to tarnish people, but rather something that she did because it gave her a stand in society. Another one of Eloise's flaws is that she doesn't realize how actually privileged she is. Eloise comes from a very wealthy family. She is the daughter of a viscount. She has title. She doesn't need a husband the way other women do, because regardless, she comes from a background of wealth and of good standing. Other women in society don't have that. She also has a loving family, a loving and supportive big family. The Bridgertons really did suffer when, is his name Edward? When Edward Bridgerton passed away. He is the man of the family. He had 8 kids that he didn't get to watch grow up and get married, and that's obviously something that is very emotional and will stick with the family till death. There's no healing from grief. There's only learning to cope with it better. Other than the fact that he passed away, they don't actually have any pressing issues in their life that would cost them their stability or their standing or their well-being. The Viscount loved Lady Bridgerton and left her with many children to keep her company, and also left her with money. Even Lady Featherington didn't have that. Lady Featherington literally got married in order to secure her life, to secure her finances. And her man died and left her and her daughters with nothing after, while he was being alive, also doing nothing by gambling their money away. Eloise should know that about Penelope. She should know that she doesn't have as strong as a support system as she does, and that is something that Eloise should be a lot more grateful for, and something that she should see, even though she's a woman, still puts her in a lot more of a position of power than other women around her. We see this also with Cressida. Eloise is the first person that she's ever made friends with. Eloise is literally the first company she's ever had that was genuine. But the thing is, Eloise did use Cressida. She used Cressida to fill in the empty place of Penelope not being there anymore. She needed somebody else to talk to every day, and on top of that, I do think that part of the reason why she befriended Cressida, she actually also admits this a little bit, is that she just wanted to get back at Penelope, which is also awful. I mean, I get it, your friend did a lot, but So you don't have to go and then befriend the very girl that bullied your longtime friend for all these years. I mean, what does that solve? But fine, at the end of the day, Cressida and Eloise actually did make a cute pair of friends. They really did slowly start to understand each other. It was also great to see them become friends because Eloise and Cressida are very different. Cressida is somebody who is searching for a husband. She wants a husband and she's always been out there. She's always put herself out there and not had a problem with that. Eloise and Penelope kind of want the same thing. They both thought that they were going to be spinsters, so they stood together against the wall. They also have a love for literature and a love for books. So they had a lot more in common than Cressida does, but Cressida gives her a whole new perspective. And then she just abandons her, like literally abandons her. Cressida literally tells her that she is going to be sent off to live with her aunt who treats her awfully if she doesn't secure a husband, and that her plan is to figure out who Lady Whistledown is so that she could get the $5,000 reward from the queen in order to secure her future and not have to depend on finding a husband or having to live with her aunt, which seems to be her only two options, both which don't give. And what is Eloise's response? You're not gonna find her. If this was really your friend, would you not think, oh God, this is serious? We should devise a plan. We should think of something. I get it. Again, Eloise was going through a lot as well. She was trying to protect her brother. She needed to see if Penelope was actually going to keep her word and tell Colin the truth. But at the end of the day, Colin and Penelope are both adults. You made it very clear to Pen that if she didn't say the truth, you were going to say the truth. So then why don't you just let that be their business to figure out and be there for your friend who is going through it. Eloise literally saw with her own eyes how awful Cressida's parents are to her. And then you just ignored that and moved on without trying to make sure that your friend was okay. Like, what? She knows that Cressida's desire for this money isn't because she wants to ruin Lady Whistledown. It's solely for survival purposes. And that didn't make you think, God, I should try and be there for this person. Even if I can't help them with a plan, I should at least be some emotional support. Now more than ever, they need me. But no, Eloise is too focused on her own issues and her own problems. Eloise has two women in front of her who genuinely struggle because of the patriarchy. Penelope has a family that isn't doing well financially, a father who didn't take care of them and set them up right, who passed away, and now they don't have a man in the family to protect them. Her and her mother have to figure out how they're going to be able to get their finances in order and also be able to protect their name, considering they don't really have much of a standing. Then you have Cressida, whose father is so cruel and who doesn't care for Cressida's well-being, just simply wants to marry her off so that he doesn't have to deal with her anymore. And then when she gets caught up in a scandal of trying to pretend that she's Lady Whistledown, he just shoos her off out of society because he can do that. He can literally just kick her out and tell her to go live with her aunt and have her out of his face. And that's it. There's nothing else for Cressida to do than to surrender to that, unless she comes up with a default plan, which was to try and get this huge sum of money to save herself. Although the patriarchy affects all women and even men, you are literally watching two people that you care for go through the mud because of it. And at no point does it occur to Eloise that maybe she should support them and stand by them. As much as, again, Penelope did hurt Eloise, she has to crawl back into Eloise's life. Whereas her intentions with Lady Whistledown were never ill. So it wasn't like she had just threw her friendship with Eloise out. She had always valued it. She had just tried to protect Eloise in the only way that she knew how. And in the end, she's the one that's begging for her forgiveness, where I think Eloise should have given her some grace and also met her in the middle, because she didn't have to leave her like that. She could have at least tried to understand her better. But then if you are going to move on from Penelope and you let this new friend into your life, how do you defend not actually protecting your friend, not actually supporting your friend? Literally, the season ends with Cressida being taken away to live with her aunt, and Eloise is nowhere to be found, not even to say bye. She knows that Cressida is not Lady Whistledown. So as soon as Cressida went in front of everyone and said, I am Lady Whistledown, Eloise should have knew right away that this was her last attempt at trying to save herself. And she could have been there for her, but instead she pretends that she believes her and uses it as an excuse to end their friendship. She knew that Cressida didn't write any of those things about the Bridgerton, and yet she pretends that that's what she believes and uses it as a means to end their friendship, knowing the situation that Cressida is in. I'm not impressed, Eloise. I'm not impressed. And then Eloise is like, I'm gonna run off to Scotland with my sister Francesca because I need to see more of the world in order to change it. It's giving rich, wealthy, privileged girl thinks she needs to go and visit other parts of the world and see more in order to really feel something, rather than coming up with a way to change what is directly in front of her and support the people who are around her. She's very misguided, she's very sheltered and very privileged, and so she has no one really to tell her, girl, if you want to change the world and if you want to change the patriarchy, you've got to value the women in your life and you've got to be there for them and be there for them truly. You can't just disappear when you feel disrespected or disappear without giving them a means to tell you what they really feel or tell you what they really mean, because then you are doing just what men do to women, silencing them. I have no idea where Bridgerton plans to go from here, but I would like to see Eloise humbled, but I would also like to see her grow. I think she has a good idea in her head. She's got good intentions, but with no one to clock her and to put her in her place, she very much still moves as if she is the center of the world and everybody else is to blame for the way things are, rather than the mere fact that she plays into the very problems that she points out, the very problems that she is so against. And so I would love to see more character development for Eloise, and I would like to see her come into what she believes in wholeheartedly. I'm so curious to hear what you guys think about Eloise. I know some people are really big fans of her, but this is just my take. Again, I'm not an Eloise hater. I just personally feel like she's got a lot of work to do and a lot of room for improvement. We've seen a lot of characters in Bridgerton realize where they are flawed and have to address that. And I think Eloise is the next character who needs to come face to face with her own flaws and address that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have not subscribed already, what is you doing, bruv? Get to it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.